Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing something different than usual, other than like the tier list that I've been doing. I thought I would make a video on how to build a team. So let's just get right into it. So the first thing that I would recommend, or the first thing on my rules or commandments or whatever you want to call them, is you want to get all your built characters or characters you're gonna build in like kind of like a pool, like a little table, you know. So like when you what's it called, when you enter like this like character selection screen for like the party members that you're gonna choose, you know, like it goes by rarity. So you know, all the 5 stars are first, and then you know all the 4 stars come after, and then it also goes by like level as well. So like your level 90 5 stars are going to be above your level 90 4 stars, but then your level not 90 5 stars are going to be under the 4 stars that are higher level. So you know, I wouldn't even bother looking at characters you don't want to play. That little message might pop up a lot. I don't know why my wire is like messed up, but yeah, that's like like I watched a bunch of like team building stuff, and they always like, all right, you got to play these 3 characters, and it would be like to play with this character. So it'd be like Nahida, and it'd be like, all right, you got to play Yalan and Nilo, and it's like, bro, like, what do I look like? You got to have like your a Zing Show, and it's like, all right, that's a lot more reasonable. You probably have a Zing Show build. I don't, but but I think you are can't speak. I think you are perfectly capable of building your own team with your own resources and what you have going on already. You might need to tweak your character's builds a little bit, maybe try out some different artifacts, whatever, maybe different sand species, whatever the case may be. But you're like, you can make do with what you have. I obviously have a lot to work with because I've been playing for so long and I've built so many characters, and you know, flexing on you. But not every character here is built pretty well. Some of them I'm like, I gotta tweak this, I gotta work on this. But farming an artifact, like farming for one artifact for like 2 characters, it's like I'm not like bougie enough to like have every character min-max to the perfection. But if you're a free-to-play player and you're getting characters slowly and everything, you kind of like work with what you got. You know, like if a guide's telling you like you got to play like the Zyphos Moonlight on your Shinobu, like if you're free to play, that's probably not gonna happen. Like it's a pretty difficult weapon to get. So you just have to make do. You just have to work out with what you got. So I think if you say, all right, these are the characters that I really like, and I enjoy their playstyle, I like their story, I liked X, Y, Z about them, whatever. So you get them all together, and you're like, all right, this is what I'm choosing from. You know, you don't go into Wendy's asking for like a burrito bowl or whatever. You know, like you got to work with what you got, what's available to you. Next, I would say you've really got to like take into account what are you building the team for. So if you're building the team off like, you know, 36 starring the Spiral Abyss, then great. You gotta focus on that goal and focus on attaining that goal. So you know, you're gonna have like your most optimal characters that worked well in the most possible ways, and all this, you know, like all this stuff going on. So like you're not gonna play like your level like 20 Yanfei if you're gonna do the Spiral Abyss. It's not happening. I hope not, at least. You choose from like your better characters, probably 5-star characters, like, you know, like between your Spiral Abyss teams. One of them's most likely gonna have Zhongli in it. Like it's just gonna happen, man. Let's be real. If you've got Nahida, she's definitely gonna make it onto some kind of like Dendro reaction team. Like you got to get real about it, you know. But you probably, unless you have some crazy build, you're probably not bringing Sayu into the Spiral Abyss. Like off the top of my head, I don't know her usage rate, but I don't think I need to know her usage rate. However, if you're building a team that's not for the Spiral Abyss, if you're building a team for exploration, Sayu is a phenomenal character to have for exploration teams because her skill that lets her just run around extremely fast, and on top of that has a very short cooldown, and on top of all of that, she's a healer, so you don't have to like worry about like getting out food and stuff like that. Her ult will just heal while you're beating up random like hilly trails and stuff. So it's very handy. There's a better word to use than handy. Very convenient to have Sayu. You get increased mobility, you get healing, you get fun little phrases that she says. It's all very like pleasing to have. But like a character like Hu Tao, depending on when you're exploring, can get kind of annoying because when you're at like 300 health and then like the grass is on fire and then she dies, you gotta use an egg and the egg's on cooldown, and it just gets annoying, and then like you can't have like a healer because then she doesn't work. So like you could use her. It's probably like a good exploration character in like the Sumeru Desert because you just absolutely destroy every enemy like you come across in like seconds. But in like the grasslands, which is like most of everything else, it gets annoying. It's like you don't want to deal with all that. So like little things like that to look out for can like really like impact what you want to build your team for. Because you don't want to build some crazy ass team for exploring. And like no matter what team I use, I always try to get Venti in there when it's like open world stuff. Because like most commissions, when it comes to beating up enemies, it's just like a couple of enemies, and then if you have Venti, you just puts them all together, sucks them up, and then you just throw everything else at them and they just die, and it's like it just makes everything so much faster. Sometimes you gotta like get to work, you gotta get to whatever you gotta do, you gotta leave the house in minutes, you gotta do whatever, and just having Venti just take care of like a lot of that stuff. It's very handy stuff to have. And not even just Venti, you can have your Animo like crowd control characters, you know, your Venti, your Kazuha. I don't have Kazuha. Like your Sucrose, maybe even your Faruzan. like it could work, you know, you could do it. It's just a little like just mad work. You gotta use like her skill and charge zero and all that nonsense. Even Jean, technically you could group them all together. But just having stuff like that can really like change your team. Because like, alright, what if you're doing Spiral Abyss? And what if like 2 of the floors are like boss fights? Cause it's like man, like your Venti's most likely not gonna be doing much in those boss fights, so it's like you wouldn't want to use them. But like if the other floors are like a bunch of like crowded enemies, and like yeah bro, he's gonna go in. So like the main 2 things I can think of is like exploration, maybe you have like a commissions team, and Spiral Abyss. I can't really think off the top of my head. Maybe if you're fighting bosses, but like I don't think you're fighting bosses often enough to have like a dedicated team. Like man, I really gotta get my electro hypostasis team ready and willing to fight this guy. Like it's just not that, like you're not farming a boss enough to do that. Maybe you just have like 1 or 2 carry characters against it. Like you just throw in like Zhongli or like some shield character with like the corresponding elemental type. Like for some bosses, like you kind of do need like a dedicated team, like the Dendro Hypostasis. You know, you gotta bring Dendro, and you gotta bring Electro. So it gets a little tricky, but I don't really think you need a team for that. I think you just throw a little like whatever like your team is for like the Spiral Abyss or whatever. I think you can use one of those. I think you can do pretty fine with those against bosses and stuff. Maybe weekly bosses, but weekly bosses I think is way more fun than just match with people online and just like get it done like that. It's like a lot of fun, but it gets a little more chaotic because everyone wants to play DPS, so it's like you have like one nice guy playing Kokomi, but then like they just like they never heal you properly, but they always like yell at you to get near the jellyfish, like put the jellyfish down in a good spot, you know. So it is what it is. Next up, you want to there are different roles that characters play, and you have to maximize their role or build them as well as you possibly can for the role that you desire them to play. So Zhongli is a great example of a character that can do quite a few things. He can have the vortex finisher on him because it's just, it just matches him. It just matches him too well. Like if you put like the staff of Homa on him, like it just doesn't look right, man. Like I can't deal with it. But the roles he can play, like there's so many different ways you can build him. I definitely don't have the best Zhongli build, but he gets the job done extremely well, and I'm happy about that. So because he is Constellation 2, whenever he uses his ult, he'll give a shield to myself and all my party members around if I'm like, in cooperative play. So that's why I built him to just like 2-piece Noblesse and increase geo damage. I just wanted him to just spam his ult and just give the homie shields. Pretty solid stuff. It's pretty like it works out very well.
Osmanthus wine
tastes the same, so it's just it's what I want him to do, and he does really well. Obviously, we had to do it, but that's the role I want him to play, and that's the role I built him to play. You could go completely different. You can give him the Staff of Homa. You can get some crazy like crit rate, crit damage, and like put like I don't even know what you would run. Like maybe like 2-piece Geo, maybe 2-piece attack. I don't even know like what a DPS Zhongli would run. You can build them like crazy and like just straight go for DPS or no you can go 2-piece. I think it's 2-piece Noblesse and then like 2-piece of the health HP set, Tenacity of the Millilith, and then you can have like absolutely crazy strong like Planet Falls when you pop his burst. You can do stuff like that, or you can even go as far as to go like a very supportive route, like 4-piece Millilith, so it provides buffs because his pillars are like hitting enemies all the time and stuff. You can go all these different routes, so you have to really assess what do I need. So like things to look out for is you need a DPS character. Just hands down, there's no debate about that. You can type as many comments as you want, and as much as I would love to hear your reasoning, I don't think you're making it in the Spiral Abyss without a DPS character. Like you can, it's just not gonna happen, dog. You need supports that support that DPS character. So if your main DPS character is gonna be Cyno, you're not gonna support him with Faruzan. Even if she is C6, she buffs animal characters, so it wouldn't work out. This duo wouldn't really fit. But if you're playing Cyno, then you would play. Nahida's kind of weird because like she's like a support character, but she's like an extremely strong support character. She's like support like the main DPS at the same time. It's weird. Like you would play a character like her, like really like get the most out of him. You make all these reactions. He scales off of elemental mastery. It all happens to work out in the proper ways of life. If you were to build the Shogun, you wouldn't build her with someone, or you wouldn't play her on a team with someone like Klee or Razor, because their ults, they're not supporting ults. There's like a conflicting views on that. So you would want to build her with like people whose ults or burst will benefit her in like different ways. So you'd build her at 1000%. Bennett's a great character to use with her. Kujo Stars like supports the Electro type, so she works very well. Sadly, Beto doesn't, and it's all your fault. But maybe like Sucrose, Kazuha, stuff like that. Mona. These are characters that all work with her because they all like have bursts that buff damage on top of her getting more damage from getting burst. So you really got to take into account, like, you got to do a little bit of reading, and whether you read from the game or read from some like online like forum or whatever, and like you just gotta comprehend how the characters work. Take a second, read their talents, and it's okay, based off of the character's energy recharge. Like, oh man, like I didn't know that. And then, obviously you gotta find the artifacts and everything to go with them, but we'll worry about the artifacts a little bit later. For now, if you're just following along and you have this on playing in the background, wow, you're sitting in your crusty computer chair playing Genshin on like another like screen and you're like multitasking. Like I know your focus is terrible, but mine is too because I do the same thing. But if you're following along, so far you've assessed what characters you're going to use amongst the pool of characters that you have. You know what you're building them for, and now you're picking out the roles that you want them to play. I can't sit here and name for you every single character and every single role they can play. We'd be here for 3 billion hours, and no one wants to do that. I don't want to talk for that long. My voice is nice, but I don't think it's that nice. Because I don't think you want to listen for 3 billion hours about all that. But it all comes down to your creativity. And even if you're not creative, you can bum ideas from other people. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm definitely going to make a series like that. So I can't say there's anything wrong with that. Because I want you to watch those later too. But there's nothing, you know, sometimes you can steal the idea for one character and how to build one character from someone and then go, wait, this will go really well with this character if I build them like this. So it's like, it's all a matter of like how you want to go about it. You can do whatever you want, man. You can have whatever fun you wish to have. But you know, I personally think it's more fun when I just like throw things together and make it work out and like try out different things because it makes the game more interesting. Like I'm gonna be playing this game for like 10 years, so I might as well enjoy it, you know? So the roles you want to look out for are DPS, like I've said, supports that, you know, that directly help out that DPS character. And supports can come in like so many different ways because there's like whenever they say support in Genshin, it means so many different things. Like it's just like an all-around term, but there's like so many different supports. So like when you say support, it's like 3/4 of the cast. Like healers are supports, buffers are supports, debuffers are supports, crowd control is support, like shield, like everything is support. So there's like, it's like 6 DPS characters and like 60 support characters. It's like that's not the exact ratio, but it's like it's what it feels like when you have such an encompassing term for like everything else. I mean, there's technically like sub DPS and stuff like that, like, but you know, it gets a little weird. So you don't always need a healer, but there are times when it's very handy to have a healer for certain like spiral abysses. Like if they have like the wolves, you know, those annoying wolves that like drain your HP, that's a pain in the ass to deal with. You need a healer sometimes. Or if you have like a Dendro team, 1000% you need a healer, because when you're doing damage to yourself, it's like not everyone's like Hu Tao or like Zhao or something. You're like, you know, it's like it gets a little much. But it's like you don't need to like, oh man, I gotta fit in this healer. I gotta make sure Diona fits this team build. I gotta make sure my Kokomi is fitting into this team. Like you don't have to. You can if you want to, but that's not something you have to do. You don't necessarily need a shield character, but I highly recommend it. That is like, it's definitely not like a staple, but it makes the game a lot simpler when your attacks aren't being interrupted and when you're not randomly getting one-shotted from an enemy. Like it just makes it a lot simpler to deal with life in that way. Like if you've got some like crazy dodging skills and you can keep track of like 8 enemies all at the same time, making sure one of them doesn't randomly like bump you and knock you out of your combo or whatever, and next thing you know you were 3 hits in of like a 5-hit combo and now you don't get like the 5th hit, it does the most damage and life falls apart, your wife divorces you, she takes the kids, and like all because you didn't have a shield. You know, you don't want to let these things happen. You can prevent it. I'd say try and prevent it. Next, buffers and debuffers. So debuffers, like I off the top of my head, like some characters I think they can like reduce like enemy like resistance, but I also kind of meant it for like superconduct if you're doing like a physical team, which we'll get into later. But it's just like, it kind of gets into like reactions and stuff. We'll get into that, you know. But buffers, like there's so many different buffers. Technically any character can be a buffer if you play them with like Noblesse, because you know, any ult you pop would give everyone like an attack boost. But then there's characters like Baruzan, Kujo Sara, Yunjin, who are just like strictly they are made to just support. Like you can build them to like do damage. Toma as well, I think. Like you can build them to do damage, but they just don't do like as much. And then there's like a crazy like buffers like Bennett, Kazuha, Mona, Sucrose if it broke. They just provide so many different buffs. Albedo also provides like an elemental mastery buff. Like they just increase like all these stats, so they can really help you in your character or your team building, because it's like, oh man, like I'm making this reaction team, but man, like these are the best artifacts I possibly could have gotten in this amount of time, and I don't have enough elemental mastery. And you can throw in a character that buffs elemental mastery, and then they've all get the buff from the elemental mastery, you know? So you got cool stuff like that you can like really look out for, because you want to not minimize, you don't want to minimize like the potential of your characters. You want to maximize the potential of your characters. You want to use them to the full extent possible. You want to like make sure they're like as well off as they could be, because you know, the better your teams are, the better you're gonna do, the easier things are gonna be. Whenever there's anything tough in game, you'll never have trouble with it again. Like Spiral Abyss is always gonna be a fun competition and not like a headache of a challenge. So that's what the roles you want to make sure your characters have. You want to make sure they're all cohesive, they're all working together to achieve your goal of exploring or 36 starring the abyss, whatever the case may be. Yep, make sure they all function. Another thing you have to look out for whilst you're building your team is you've got to make sure they've got good reactions and maybe even elemental resonance. That's not like a necessary thing. That's not like oh man, like I'm sweating, I can't manage to find 4 characters that have 2 different elemental reactions or 2 different typings while also having reactions. It's like if you focus too much on the elemental resonance, you lose out on reactions. And if you focus on reactions, you're probably going to do more damage than if you focus on the other one. So it's definitely more important to focus on your reactions. But resonance comes in handy. Like some of these are just too good not to have. Actually, I think all of them are pretty good in their own way. Even the Geo one has gotten better. The only one that's not really that good is like the 4 different typings, because it's like resistances don't matter. Anything that is about defenses do not matter, unless your DPS scales off of defense, then that's different. But anything about like prolonging like how long you like live and how many hits you can take, you don't want to get hit at all. You don't ever want to get hit. So it gets like it's like useless. It might as well not even be there. But this other stuff is like, man, beautiful. You know, increase HP, attack, and all this like other stuff, and like movement speed. Like that's not that really that useful, but whatever. But my personal favorite is the ice one. Ice resonance increases crit rate against characters that are frozen or affected by cryo by 15%. You get a free crit rate for 2 ice characters. If you have an ice DPS character, is the easiest to build. You don't have to put anything into crit rate. It's so beautiful. It's absolutely amazing. But it gives them like a little like all right, like I gotta play 2 ice characters, and like, you know, like how do I make them work? Like if you have Shenhe and like Ayaka, you don't even have to worry about that. But if you don't have Shenhe, it's like, damn, I gotta get 2 ice characters and I gotta make them work. Like personally, I really like Eula and Rosaria, because Rosaria buffs like crit rate, and she's an ice character, so she buffs Eula's crit rate by even more. It's like you're getting so much crit rate, you might as well have 1000% crit rate. So that's personally what I like to look out for. And Obviously, like Dendro reactions are just absolutely insane. Like if you're running a Dendro character with not the proper reactions or characters to get reactions from, like if you're running like Nahida and like Eula and like Heizo and like Goro, like I think we gotta evaluate things a little bit. But you really should be looking out for reactions because they help you like maximize your damage. Like there's it's like free extra damage, you know, like other games, like you just have to like use all these like attacks and like they're not as like cohesive, you know. Like if you look at like another RPG that you play, maybe you play like Final Fantasy. I've only ever played like one Final Fantasy game, but like it's not like you use like a fire attack. Was it like Firaga or something like that? You use like your fire attack and then like use another character uses like some water attack. Like you're not getting like additional damage. Like it's just like every attack is like some like its own thing. Like it doesn't like bother anything else. But this game's cool because it's like man, you've really gotta function the way everything works together. That's what makes co-op so fun. It's like complete chaos or like everything works out extremely well. I went into a domain. I don't remember which one. I think it was a boss fight, but I think it was Scaramouche or something. I don't remember. And someone just randomly popped up with an Ito, and I was like, I got you, homie. And I popped up with my Goro, and then someone switched to Albedo and like switched back, and the other person just didn't switch at all. And so we had like a dual Geo like thing instead of like, you know, like the mono Geo. So it was like pretty like cool and like fun, and like because I did like absolutely nothing, but I like buffed his Ito like insanely. So that was like pretty fun. But like, you know, it gets a little chaotic with the other guys. You know, there's like a Kokomi and then like some random like other fourth character that like nothing worked together like other than me and the guy. But that's just because I'm willing to do stuff like that. You gotta be willing to like support others and like willing to be DPS sometimes, and you know that's what Overwatch has taught me. You gotta be willing to play different roles sometimes. Things like maybe this comes down to like the individual character, but you know, worrying about your energy recharge is a big thing as well. So an issue I previously had with Noelle is that I had so many issues with her. Like over the years, she's gotten better and better and more fun to play. Like the ROI on Noelle has been immense because it was just extremely disappointing back in like the 4-piece Gladiator White Blind days. And then after that, we got Ito stuff, which made her a lot better. But then her energy recharge was just absolutely abysmal. I don't know what it is with Geo characters. They just refuse to gain their energy. Like it's insane. Like I always think of like Geo and Electro as like opposites because of like Pokemon. Because, you know, like ground's like super effective against electric. So I always thought of them as opposites. But like not like this, bro. Like they're just like Electros like get their energy recharge a little bit too fast, honestly. And then these guys are just extremely just like energy. However, my Goro has the Favonius Warbow R5, and my Yunjin has the Favonius Lance R5, and they both have like a moderate amount of crit rate. Might as well show you before you guys call me liars. Like 44%, like whatever. I just have a crit rate hat and some other like crit rate stats, man. It happens. 39. It's like decent amount. Maybe not, but like I focus on defense, man. I don't care. So what comes of this is that, and their talents, like their skills, I mean, like they have pretty fast recharges. What is it? Cooldown 10 seconds. 10 seconds, bro. It's like when you blink your eyes, like 10 seconds have passed. Like it's like absolutely nothing to worry about. And hers is even shorter, a whole 9 seconds. It's even less. It's so much less. It's absolutely insane. It might sound like I'm exaggerating, but when you're in the middle of combat and there's like, and you're fighting for your absolute life to survive, to eat one more day, to have to fight again, like that second means so much. And when you pop these like skills and you just throw out a couple of random attacks here and there, and you see those energy particles pop up, you switch to Noelle, you switch to Zhongli, and they pick them up, and you get the energy, and like man, they get their ults so fast. And so like, because of the way I built Goro and Yunjin, it fixes the issue I had with Noelle, and sometimes I had with Zhongli where he wouldn't get his ult fast enough. So, and I didn't have to suffer by like putting like an energy recharge sands and having to like get like perfect like rolls and like all that nonsense. Like, I didn't have to worry about that. The other characters on the team fix the weak points of the other characters and strengthen them up. So these like Yunjin and Goro, technically Goro like supports like everyone, and then Yunjin supports like Noelle. Yunjin doesn't really like, I'm not like popping Yunjin to like ult and like beating ass with Zhongli. That's not happening. But they all technically support each other in like all these ways. Like Noelle heals everyone, Zhongli shields everyone. Noelle can also shield everyone. She's the main damage, but Zhongli pops his ult every now and then, and now no one's moving around, and Noelle can like punch everyone or swing her giant sword around like with ease because no one's like running around and doing dumb stuff. So it all works together very well. 1000%, if I had Ito and Albedo, I'd be playing that instead of this. But I worked with what I had, and I happened to build. I built Noelle a long time ago. I built Zhongli a long time ago. Never thinking about using them together. I built Yunjin a little while ago. I was like, oh, she works with Noelle. She works with a couple of characters. Pretty fun. And then I built Garo, and I was like, oh, I might as well put this team together. Because Garo gets like more buffs when you have more Geos. So it all like worked out pretty well. And like, this is an example, but I also get to flex on you at the same time. This is an example of everyone working together and like complementing each other's like weak points and all that. Very, very useful thing to look out for. And I highly recommend you pay attention to that. And lastly, once you've got like your characters assembled, once your 4 team Avengers have assembled, and you know what you're building them for, and you know what roles they're gonna play, and you make sure they all have like functions together. You really want to get to the artifacts, weapons, and like leveling up talents. I level up every character's talent to at least 7 because I am so paranoid. I don't know why. I'm so paranoid about like having to like things coming down to like the last absolute second, and then like my character like throwing out a normal attack, and then it's just not working out. It's just not killing the enemy because they live with like 2 HP, like little dumb things like that. Like, I absolutely do not want to find myself on the receiving end of. So I make sure every character is like leveled up as much as possible. I also play a lot of co-op, so if this team's in co-op, I absolutely do not use Noelle if I only have like one of these other guys. Like, it just doesn't work out as well. So I'd use like Zhongli and Garo. Pretty solid. Like, sometimes like these 2 characters have like nowhere near like a strong normal attack, but their skills and everything do like a little bit of like good damage, and like Goro still helps out for Zhongli to get his ult and like spam it out and everything, and I'm still supporting my teammates with shields and everything, so it's all pretty handy. It all works out pretty well, and I think Goro still buffs like geo damage or whatever, so it works. But like, I'm just ready for dumb things like that. But if you don't play as much co-op or whatever, then like, you absolutely do not need to level up Goro's like normal attack. Like, you could just leave it at like 1. Like, there's never gonna be a world where you have to use it. Hopefully, probably. I mean, like, maybe Goro has like that glitch where he shoots like really fast or whatever. Maybe you go for that. But you'd build him completely different. You'd have like a team around him, whatever. But like, his skill, his burst, definitely you want to level up. Same thing with Zhongli. You don't really have to level up his normal attack, but then like, his skill and his burst, you absolutely like have to. Yunjin, believe it or not, same thing. And then Noelle, after you've gotta have everything ready. You gotta have everything leveled up. Like, she's the one who's using her normal attacks mostly. Like, her shield, you want it to be as strong as possible, while also doing as much damage as possible, because it does damage when it blows up, and it does damage when it blows up, and when you apply it. Cool stuff. And you want her ult to be as strong as possible, because that's like the main source of damage on this. You know, you want to be like, ready for that kind of like stuff. Like you've just, well, not ready, but you've got to be. I'm ready for anything, but you've got to put as much resources into what's important. Because if I didn't waste time like Mora and like everything on like her normal attack, I probably would have these like even higher, probably like 10 or something. I mean, technically they are 10, but you know, at base 10, you know what I mean? So like, you really gotta look into that, like resource management and all that nonsense. I don't care about that because I'm a G and I'm balling at all times. Like you don't have as many like 5-star character constellations as me. Nothing, man. You don't have no resources as many level 90 characters as I do, bro. I'm out here. And they're all built, usable. Some way more than others, but I can, at the drop of a hat, I can switch completely different teams like 8 times because I'm just like that out here. But yeah, that's in all, this is my little guide for building a team. If you wanted to see some of my teams, I can go through them, but I think it'd be better for another video. I don't want to make this one too long. I want something short, sweet, simple, cohesive you have in the background while you play, and figure out how you're building your team. Or maybe you're a new player, maybe you're an old player. Not as in like physically old. You could be old, man. Like, I'm not gonna knock you for it, but I mean like a player who's been playing for a long time. And you know, we all need a hand every now and then. We all need some support. You know, just make sure you have the right supports if you're listening to that tip. So, thank you guys for watching. Let me know if my advice wasn't helpful enough, wasn't helpful at all. If it was helpful, if it was more helpful than you thought it would be. You know, I'd love to hear all of that in the comments down below. And thank you guys for watching, and take care.